Hey guys, Chris from Provo Beast Audio Installation, and today we're doing a backup camera on this 2012 Ford F350. In this install, we're going to show you how to run the backup camera wiring in the event you wanted to add an aftermarket camera to your truck. Let's get started. Now, this truck actually does come with a backup camera already installed from the factory. However, the customers requested that we install a new one just because the factory one isn't working, and for the time being, we're just going to do a license plate camera. So hopefully this is also helpful for those that don't have a factory backup camera already installed, as this installation should be applicable. First thing we're going to do is jump over the bench and show you the parts that we're going to use for this install. All right, so for a backup camera, the kit that we decided to go with is a kit built by WordCam. Essentially, this is a full license plate frame camera kit. First and foremost, the cool thing about this, it's all aluminum. It's nice and super sturdy, so it's great for a platform like a truck in the event it's going to see some wear and tear. This is fully adjustable here, and it does come with an Allen wrench to tighten that down. These are night vision LEDs. These aren't just wide LEDs. So what we can do with this kit is actually wire this camera to accessory power, so the camera is on whenever the truck is on, allowing the truck and the driver to view what's behind them even in motion. That's a cool part about this kit. What also comes with is just a power harness, so we need to connect this power to an accessory source, which we'll show you how to do, and our video wire. It's going to carry our video signal, what the camera sees, through this wire up to the back of the radio. So that's the kit that we're going to go with here. I'll post all of the parts that we use in this install in the description in case you want to pick up similar parts as well. The first thing that we're going to do is prep our video camera. Now, since this is going on a truck, trucks are often workhorses, and we're probably going to go ahead and protect this wire up underneath the truck. Since this will be running under the truck along the frame rail factory loom, we're actually going to loom this harness up as well in split loom, just so it has a little bit more weight and protection as we zip tie under the truck. We'd hate for a rock to come up and nick this wire and have to replace it. So we're going to go ahead and loom that wire. All right, so what we've done here is we've split loomed our wire. Now, both ends here of our power wire, since this will be running underneath the truck, I've split loomed. This end will go up to the radio, the other end will go underneath the truck. And along with the power wire, I've actually just ran a separate 18 gauge wire just to power the camera or anything of the sort. It's there and available, which kind of makes it nice for this type of install. So, okay, so what we've done here is we've finally prepped our connections right before we get them installed up underneath the truck. Power and ground for the camera here. So for the power wire, power requires positive and negative, an accessory and a ground. And the ground, the black wire, what we're going to do in this separate loom is we're going to run this up to our tail light, up to the tail light, because it has the negative up there. And then what we're going to do with the positive of the camera is we connected it into that long purple wire that we ran in with our loom here. It comes out the other end, and we're going to connect that into accessory back behind the dash. So that's how we're going to do our power and ground. Now for our video wire, remember it has that little red wire that hangs off there? Most times, the aftermarket manufacturer intends to use this as potentially a trigger wire, meaning we hook this up to a source where once the truck is in reverse, it indicates to the radio to switch over to the backup camera mode to display what the camera is viewing. As soon as you're not in reverse, it shuts down that signal and it goes back to the previous source you were on before reversing. They put this red wire in parallel with your video cable, so in the event you need to tap into the trigger wire at the tail light, the reverse light, you can. Now, it just depends if you have already an aftermarket radio installed in your truck. And if you do, potentially that smart harness that the radio is connected to may have, the brain box may produce that 12 volt reverse signal already, so you actually don't need to connect this to anything. Now, even as the third alternative, rather than running your own long power wire in there, you could essentially take the power wire of the camera and just hook it into that, and then on the other end where that comes out, that's where you connect to accessories, so you don't have to run a separate wire. So many different variations of connecting this. It's really your call. If you want more specifics on really what I just talked about, We have an awesome backup camera video here on the channel that walks you through different alternatives and methods on how to connect an aftermarket camera to your aftermarket radio. So hopefully this helps. So with this all taken care of, we're going to put it all back in the loom, head back to the truck, get this connected into the camera, and start running this forward. Okay, here we are in the back of the truck. Now, again, factory camera is there, but in case you didn't have the factory camera and wanted to put a license plate camera on, this is where we're going to mount ours. Now we'll run our cable up, down, up underneath, so it hangs out down below. And we'll get our license plate all mounted up and it bolted up to the factory location. So at this point, let's go ahead and start hooking up our wiring up underneath and running it forward. All right, so we're here underneath the truck, and I just want to show you where we've run wire. So this is the plugs that come down from the camera, and we have our power and trigger end and ground is going to go up there, right along there, and comes out, and then we'll need to pop the tail light out briefly so we can get our connections made. And then the video wire end goes this way, right along with the follow the factory loom. Follow the factory loom here, up and over the axle, kind of in between the tank and the side rail, all the way down, then past the tank, still along the factory loom, zip tied. We kept going down, 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 down. Then we went up and over the frame rail here, kind of by the transfer case. Came out on the outer side of the frame rail. There's a hole in this bracket, which is great. It'll hold our wire. And then that's where we are going to go up through the grommet, and we'll show you from the top side how to pull that on through. All right, we need to pop the tail light out so we can tap into the reverse light here, and apologize in advance, it's a windy day. So these are 8 millimeters. All right, so this upper one is our reverse light. Now on these Fords, your negative is usually the black with a white stripe, and our positive will be the colored one. So on this one is the blue with a white stripe. We'll pull that out, a little bit of space. So what we're going to do is we'll connect our ground into that, and if you need to, as a trigger or power wire for your camera, you can connect to the positive. Okay, so we soldered everything up. Now we'll tape up our connections, relume the harness, and reinstall the back light. We've got a trigger wire and our ground, or again, you can also use this as a power wire for your camera, just depending on your setup. Now we need to go ahead and find access through the floor from the frame rail so we can run our wire from up underneath the truck into the cabin. So we're gonna pull this on out. What I did is I just got in there and slowly just worked it on out. Perfect. Okay, so with that out of the way, pull the carpet on back. We have a couple of options for grommets. Now we have one right here. I also have one right here. Probably the one right here is maybe the easier one to do. We pull this on out. There we are. So we have hole right through the floor. We can run our wire up. Now we're going to do it through the grommet so we can maintain a seal up and around the wire. But that'll be our chosen location to pull up wire. All right, so we went ahead and pulled our wire up through there and poked a little hole through it, through that grommet. And then what we can do is put this down, and we can even seal that up even better. And from this point, since now our wire's in the truck, we're gonna go this way, up by the transmission tunnel, up back behind the radio. All right, so we've ran our backup camera up here, and now we've removed the radio. If you want to see us how we pop this radio on out, we actually have a radio install video here on the channel on this truck, and that video will walk you through how to remove the dash bezel and the radio itself to gain access to run all the cables. So at this point, we got our video wire as well as our power wire or trigger, depending on how you decide to hook yours up. We have this all run up here. Now at this point, this would plug into the reverse camera input on the back of the radio. And this would, if this is hooked up to the power wire of your camera, then this would need to hook into an accessory. Now, depending on which wiring harness that you're using, let's say you're doing an aftermarket radio, some will supply enough current through the smart harness to power a camera. If not, we're going to show you where you can tap in for power in the event you don't have enough current back behind the dash to run a backup camera as well. All right, so if you're looking for switched power to power your backup camera, we've popped the fuse panel off. And what you can add, like we've added there, is called an add a circuit. Essentially here, it's a safe way that you can tap into the factory fuse space while retaining the fuse itself. So we're not adding an extra load on that fuse. Essentially, we're just tapping into the power of the circuit and running that through our own fuse as well. And then this can go up. What we've done is split loom some wire and ran this up. Now we can pop this down. See where we've run that up from the fuse box and fished it into the stereo cavity. So if you needed to tap into the fuse box for power, for any sort of accessory, that's the best way to do it, using an add a circuit. And that really allows you to have that accessory power, which can't be found back behind the radio. You have to go to the fuse box. So just hopefully that's helpful. Again, you'd probably want to do that if the smart harness that you're using with your radio doesn't provide more than a few amps of output. You probably want to run your own wiring to the fuse box for your camera. Okay, so we went ahead and connected that yellow RCA to the input on the back of the radio, the camera input. And at this point, we have reassembled the radio, got it all back in. Again, if you want to see more on this radio install and how we've gotten it in and out of the dash, go ahead and check the description. We'll have a link to that install video. So at this point, with the radio all installed, with the camera all hooked up, we've already tapped into power and ground at the reverse line if needed. We showed you down below in case you ever have to tap into accessory to power a camera. However you choose to hook that on up, let's go ahead and give this thing a test. So we'll put this in reverse. Perfect, there's our Subaru there in the back. Love this camera, super nice and clean. Go ahead and pull it out of reverse. Now just to kind of give you an idea, here's the factory one. When we put it in reverse, it just comes out blue. It's failed on this customer, and so for the time being, he likes this one on the license plate. Now, the way that we've hooked it up, since we hooked our camera up to accessory power, if we go into the camera view, we're not in reverse, but yet we can still go in and check to see what's behind us. We can jump right back out of that as well. So, two different ways. Again, if you want more detailed instructions on how to hook up a backup camera, different wiring method, go ahead and check the description. We'll have a link there to that video on essentially the best ways to wire up a backup camera regardless of the vehicle that you're in. It's pretty good. So that's about it for this install. If you have any questions on what we did here, go ahead and post a comment below. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. We post great content here on the channel all the time, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.